Anvil, Hammer, Hatchet podcast.
Welcome to AnvilHammerHatchet, where we answer all of life's questions in about an hour and a half. I'm Chris. With me today is my co-host, Army Armstrong, and we're about to do this thing for the 9th time.
Let's do it. We're creeping up on the big number 10.
Yeah, it's rapidly approaching, definitely. It's actually flown by. It feels like we just started doing this.
I know.
Thing. It's crazy.
And we do it consistently, mostly every week, I think. We're hitting it every Sunday.
Haven't missed one so far. So,
yeah.
I did have one thing that we needed to take care of real quick. It's pretty minor this week.
Don't be CBA.
I've got one for this also.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I do, yeah.
Last week, we were talking about Sun Records, the TV series.
Right.
As what it actually came up conversationally when we were talking about just the music of Sun Records as well. But at one point, I stated that I thought Sun Records was in Nashville, Tennessee.
Memphis.
Yeah, Sun Records is in Memphis. And we had a really easy way to check it out. If you look on our website in the photo gallery page, there's a Sun Records guitar pick under there, and right underneath Sun, it says Memphis, Tennessee. So, yeah, it would have been a really easy one to fact check. But we did not, because we do not do pre-show prep. We do post-show apologies.
That's right.
So that was the only one that I could really think of.
Mine was when we did the Biocast last week, and we were talking about the show at Stubbs Barbecue with Hank and Super Suckers and all those guys.
With when you were playing bass for the Flame Trick Subs.
Right. And I think I said it was like 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Oh, the occupancy.
Right. And I checked the capacity on it, and it said it was just over 2,000. But there was probably 2,500, 3,000 there actually.
The fire marshals were not there doing a head count.
Yeah, because it was just packed. People lined up down the street to get in.
And to put it in perspective, too, the Warfield, which is a great sized club that most bands who play through San Francisco love playing in.
It's a big club.
That's only 2,250, I believe, is 2,250 people is their max occupancy. So you're talking about a
Warfield-sized
crowd. Yeah, that's a big crew.
I wonder what the Fillmore is. Have you been to the Fillmore in San Francisco?
I have, but I don't know what their occupancy is.
I don't either.
There's a show coming up at the Warfield in 2 weeks, I think, from Tuesday.
Who's playing?
It is Mastodon with Eagles of Death Metal opening.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm definitely considering going to see that. I like both of those bands a lot.
Yeah.
Mastodon's awesome. I actually prefer their later music as opposed to their earlier stuff, which is with most bands for me, or at least in my experiences, it's the opposite. You know, you usually like the stuff that they do originally because that's the stuff that draws you in and gets you interested in the band. But I feel like from a songwriting perspective, I like the work they've done as their careers progressed. I'd like to see Mastodon.
They're definitely super solid players.
Oh, yeah.
It's not my favorite style of metal or whatever they're considered, but it's good. You know, like Brent Hines and all those guys they're super solid. I do have one of their albums. I think it's Blood on the Mountain or whatever, that mountain one with eagles and, you know, all that shit. Because they're very sort of out there like that.
Right.
Visually.
Yeah, they kind of have a similar aesthetic to like High on Fire.
Right. Yeah. Fantastical.
Very traditionally heavy metal imagery.
Yes. There's got to be deer horns and blood and mountains.
Goat's heads. And
mountains, for some reason, are very popular. Like, why is it the mountain? Like Dio.
Well, if you look at a lot of the desert rock or stoner rock album covers, the artwork that they use seems to feature a lot of sort of landscape type stuff, forests or mountains,
or deserts.
Right, there's vast hills and trees, very detailed. Somebody who looks like they're definitely not sober when they're doing the art.
Right.
Some of those covers are really awesome. In Such Hawks, Such Hounds, that documentary that we talked about the desert rock scene in Southern California, they actually do interview some of the artists that do the artwork on those covers and do the screen printing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a really good documentary for anybody who's into sort of alternative metal scenes. And Mastodon, I wouldn't say falls under that category. They're a little bit more of the, I guess, progressive rock.
I would definitely say progressive metal-y.
Right, just because it's very notey and, like you said, very technical.
Yeah, so when I think of technical progressive metal, I tend to think of like Testament is one.
Right.
Like they're thrash and stuff, but they're technical. They're very technical. And then there's another one who I can't escape.
I think Testament has a new album out. out.
And they do, actually.
Mhm.
Andrew sent me a link to one of their songs. It's fucking badass.
And I think Oblivion has a new album.
Oblivion, there's a name I haven't heard in a while.
If I'm not mistaken, Nuclear Assault either released an
No
album
way.
or has a new album coming out. Yeah.
So, interesting thing, Nuclear Assault, I think they're also the East Coast band, maybe Jersey or something. I'm not positive on that. But I know their bass player, Dan Lilker, was in SOD and Brutal Truth.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so he kind of rotates around with all those guys. And I know SOD, I don't think they're playing anymore.
Right, but one of those kind of go-to guys that's been interchanged between a lot of different bands over the years.
Yeah, and I did get to see like Brutal Truth way back in the day with Cathedral, which is like this. Do you remember Cathedral?
Yeah, I do.
Like the doom metal.
Yeah, it was early it had the creepier elements.
Yeah, really good show. I think Napalm Death may have been there.
Okay. All right. That one of my, if not my favorite bands of all time, Godflesh.
Oh, yeah.
Justin Broderick, the primary creative force behind Godflesh, was Napalm Death's drummer when he was 14 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah. And he doesn't play drums. I mean, he obviously plays drums, can play drums, but he's primarily a guitar player now. Yeah, he started off when he was just a little kid playing with Napalm Death. And I think he was only on their first album.
Right.
But, okay, cool.
Here come the bombs.
Oh no, that's the private plane. Long story. I had to fly back in from the bunker this week. I was going to take the chopper, but I ended up having to do some work, just information exchange that had to be done in person on the East Coast. So rather than taking the chopper back, which would have been very impractical because of the number of stops I would have had, I just took the private jet. It was way easier. So I think they're actually just flying back to the bunker because I'm going to be in
You're
town.
staying here this week?
Yeah. I got most of the stuff squared away with Becky this week.
How's my clone?
He's doing good. He's doing really good. I'm starting to think maybe there's something to Mario Kart. Because his in the last few days, his vocabulary has expanded tremendously. Monday, I was actually going to go in, and I might have already told you this. I was going to go in and talk to Becky about it. She ended up calling in sick, so I had to have Stuart take care of Clarmy all day, which pretty much meant 8 hours of Mario Kart.
Stuart doesn't like to do anything.
He likes to complain a lot. He likes to act like he deserves a lot. He's very much a typical millennial. And he keeps trying to insist that I call him Stu, which I refuse to do.
Yeah, no Stu.
Stu sounds like a man. Stuart is perfectly descriptive of Stuart.
Yeah, I was going to say, Stu, like you're a Navy boat captain or something.
And that is not Stuart at all. But yeah, so I had to deal with way too much with Stuart on Monday and Tuesday. Becky came back on Wednesday. And like I said, right around that time in the week, I started to notice a big expansion of Clarmy's vocabulary. He's way more interactive voluntarily. Like he doesn't wait for you to communicate with him and respond. He's more engaging up front. So I don't know.
Have you caught him doing the knuckle shuffle on the old piss pump yet?
No. He's still kind of got the personality and mind of a little kid. Yeah. He's very, very innocent. And I think that might be the influence of the Toad character kind of reflecting in his personality.
It's soft.
Somebody did ask me about the whole like sort of bathroom training and stuff, which wonderfully, I actually think this ended up being a really good idea. I had some forethought. I mentioned the other day that I got the CRISPR so I could do gene splicing and be a little bit more specific in tailoring in attributes and characteristics. I spliced some feline DNA in with Clarmy when I was initially beginning the cloning experiment.
So he's scratching the couch a lot?
It's sort of the same way that a newborn kitten immediately knows how to use the litter box. He just immediately knew what was up with the bathroom and took straight to it. Didn't require any explanation. It was automatic.
He gets that from me. So I don't know.
Right. But yeah, so I think from a predictive standpoint, the feline DNA was a brilliant idea on my part. And it's definitely made Becky's job a lot easier from that standpoint
I'm
as
sure
well.
She doesn't want to hold his wiener for him.
So yeah, no, he's doing good. He's doing good. And he is at the bunker still. Like I said, I was out of town for a while, so he's not in the green room today. We will get him back in here at some point soon, and I'm sure he will impress you with how his vocabulary is really expanded.
I just want to hug him.
Yeah, he's great. It'd be almost nice if we could at some point bring him in as a fourth cast member.
Right.
Speaking of fourth members, you might notice the audible absence of one voice. Big Daddy Ross, the boss's boss, is not feeling well this week. He decided he was going to stay home and take it easy today. So Once again, it is just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Every time I see that episode title, that song,
that's what you hear.
It's Bill Withers.
Bill Withers.
It's Bill Withers.
Bill Withers. Okay.
Yeah, he does Just the Two of Us.
Who also did Ain't No Sunshine, right?
Right. Yeah, same guy. Guy. In Just the Two of Us. Great sax solo, like sort of notorious sax solo that when you hear it, you just immediately super recognizable.
For sure.
As an instrument in just sort of modern top 40 rock and roll, it seems like the sax has kind of gone by the wayside since the 80s and 90s, because in the 70s and 80s, it was pretty standard fare to have a sax player in your band.
I liked the sax. I played the sax.
Hall & Oates had one. In Excess had one. Obviously, a big example is the big man himself, Clarence Clemens, played with Bruce Springsteen.
I think Slayer should get a sax player.
That would be interesting.
Can you imagine?
But yeah, I mean, really, unless it's very sort of specified or a specified style of music now, you don't really hear much horns in rock and roll. But like Tower of Power, Three Dog Night, there was a big presence of horns in rock and roll.
And speaking of rock and roll, Friday night went to go see the Descendents.
Right. Yeah. At the Catalyst.
Catalyst. Yeah. And there was two opening bands. I think the second band was called Rad Key or Mad Key. We're going to check on that real quick and see. But they shredded. They tore the stage up. Just a 3-piece. And man, they kind of...
So the singer was playing guitar or bass?
The singer was playing guitar, but he did not interact with the crowd at all. I mean, as far as he wasn't the front man. The bass player was the front man, and the other guy was just doing his thing, and he just shredded. They sounded a lot like the Misfits.
Oh, okay.
Which was really interesting to me, but with that sort of almost 50s, 60s, harmony, type things.
Background vocals.
Yeah. And they just, they shredded. I thought they were better than the Descendents as far as show wise.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they just were super interactive and they slayed. I think we'll put a picture up on the website.
You were never a super huge Descendents fan though, correct?
No, not a huge.
But I mean, I know you like them.
I did like them.
It wasn't a band that you followed intently or
I'd much rather
records or anything like that.
I'd much rather listen to the Circle Jerks or Dead Kennedys or something like that.
Definitely, those types of bands are different style from the Descendents. The Descendents were a lot more melodic. There were pop elements to their music. I wouldn't say it's pop punk the way we think of pop punk now,
but definitely the precursor.
Right. There was song structures. There was definitely more of a focus on singing than yelling.
Right.
The material that they wrote lyrics about was generally less confrontational and aggressive.
Right. It wasn't like a Black Flag song.
Right. It was more like girl problems and school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And from what I know, a big sort of defining point of their sound when they first started off was the copious amounts of coffee that they drank on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the reasons they wrote their songs or played their songs so quickly, is they were just jacked up on caffeine. So if they'd played them at a normal tempo, they would have been a little bit longer. But since they were just cracking it out so fast, the songs, instead of being 3.5 minutes long, were 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Right.
It definitely makes a difference. And I guess since people responded to that, they sort of stuck with that fast, hard formula, the same way the Ramones did.
They're kind of synonymous with the California punk skate surf scene.
SoCal. That SoCal punk scene that was really big in the early 80s.
Right. So
I think they actually got together, though, in 77.
Oh,
I believe
really?
The first incarnation of this was not with Milo Aukerman. Is that Milo's last name?
I don't know.
He's sort of notoriously just known as Milo. But
right.
I think his last name's Aukerman. But that original incarnation did not include him. They were a 3-piece with no vocalist to speak of. The first single that they cut, I guess, 2 of the guys did vocals, one on each song, so they sort of split vocal duty. At some point, experimented with a female lead singer for a while that just kind of never went anywhere. And then Milo knew one of the guys from school and got recruited into the band. And that's sort of the classic Descendents incarnation that we think of.
Right.
But yeah, I always liked him. I got into, and same thing. I didn't have all the records.
I had Milo Goes to College, like you said.
Yeah, that's a great album. And he did quit the band for a while to go back to school. He's a really smart guy. I think he's in the sciences. He's a very smart guy, and did not.
Well, he's selling out venues, so he must have some sort of smarts.
Right. Yeah. He didn't just decide to go with the band thing, since that was the direction life had taken him in. He put that on hold and went back to school.
Right.
So, focused on his education as well as his art, which, I think that is kind of cool.
For sure.
And especially in a scene where maybe school and doing things by the book systemically isn't necessarily as popular, seeing somebody who is successful in that scene doing something specifically to better themselves is that's a good look.
Right, absolutely. Like, who's the guitar player for Queen? Brian May,
right.
I think is an astrophysicist. He's got his doctorate in astrophysics.
Well, I know his father was very intelligent and had at least some type of an engineering. I don't know if he was an engineer per se, but he had an engineering background because the guitar that Brian May plays, his father constructed it with him when he was a child. They wired the pickups together, cut the wood.
Really?
Yeah, they all the electronics were hand wired, handcrafted.
That's solid.
And that's one of the reasons that his guitar has such a unique sound that you don't find in any sort of manufactured brands. Is it's not. It's a homemade guitar. I think he had contracted a luthier at one point to replicate it, so he did have a backup. So he has a very similar guitar with very similar wirings and electronics and everything.
I thought luthiers only made acoustic guitars.
That's possible. I sort of have always used that term just to encompass anyone who makes guitars.
Right.
I thought it sort of referred more to the crafting of the wood, in the neck and everything.
Right.
Obviously,
it could be. I don't know.
Right. Well, at a certain point, they would have only made acoustic guitars because it was pre-electric. Guitars had been made or crafted for generations before the electric guitar was ever really introduced. So it would have been that. But I would have thought that even though you were integrating electronics into an electric guitar, you would still it would still be sort of the same job title. But I'm not sure about that. I have to look that up. Either. It's definitely something that I've always sort of in the back of my head kind of had an interest in learning.
Me too. And I know luthier, this guy Doug that I used to play music with, he used to make guitars for Santa Cruz guitars.
Oh, okay.
Which if you go down to Sylvan Music or whatever, and you look at the price tags on those things, like $8,000-$10,000.
Oh wow,
guitars!
I didn't expect 1,000 after that. I kind of thought you were going to say 100. Wow.
No, like serious cash for like super handmade
because they're very rare. There's 0 production models. It's just handcrafted, one of a kind instruments,
and they're badass guitars. Are they worth that much money? I don't know, but
hey, if you got it to spare, I guess maybe. But
right, like I'm okay with my $400 cheap guitar that I've had for 15 years,
I just always thought it would be kind of a fun hobby and an interesting hobby to learn to everything from wood selection all the way up to a finished product to learn to make guitars.
That's right. And actually, I forgot, another friend I have is also a luthier, and he has his own guitar company, Batson Guitar Co. Are
they local as well?
They're not local. He's in Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Nashville?
No,
I'm just kidding.
I'm not sure if it's Nashville or I think it is. I think it is in Nashville,
but it could be Memphis.
It could be, but I think it's Nashville.
We'll have to check their guitar picks because it should say right underneath the name.
So interestingly enough, and I'll plug Corey.
It's Batson.
Batson.
Batson guitars.
And there's 2 brothers, and they started out doing Batson guitars. And the interesting thing about it is the sound hole isn't in the front; it's on the side. So they've kind of recreated this new thing.
I have noticed a trend in acoustic guitars dealing with replacement of the sound hole, not having it dead in the center of whether it's on the top left of the front. I've seen them with multiple holes, little cutouts that sort of form a pattern.
Like Ovation does that, I think.
Right. That's one of I think Ovation was one of the first companies that I noticed them doing that. And you're saying, so Batson's, they put the sound hole on the narrower part of the guitar on the side.
On the side, yeah.
Wood. So,
and he and I...
So it would project up instead of out.
I guess.
Interesting.
But he's had a very successful run, and he and I grew up together. He's a drummer, actually, and he plays guitar, obviously, but we grew up and were in a band together. He was in the Blue Crowns for a while.
Playing drums?
Playing drums, yeah. So there was a point where we were playing just without drums, kind of that Sun format,
right?
And then we moved over into the drums and electric bass, and then went back and forth or whatever. But anyway,
he was electric bass.
Wow. Yeah, so he was one of the drummers, and his brother Grant, another classmate of mine who was part of Batson Guitar Co. for a while, now makes smoking pipes, like really nice. I don't even know what they make them out of, but not like a corncob pipe, but he makes like $500 pipes
carved from wood, hand carved from wood. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So they're both like really successful craftsmen. And growing up, like Grant made his own guitar also out in wood shop. Like I remember him cutting it out and putting it together and wiring it up, and I think he probably still has it to this day. It's something he made in high school.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's I never really focused as much on that, like I wasn't saws and hammers guy. I was more wires and plugs guy. I was more familiar with hooking up electronics and things like that than the actual, like sawing and sanding.
I was plug it in and play. Oh, it's broken. It doesn't need to work. Shit.
Call somebody to fix it or buy a new one.
Exactly. But, I've learned a little bit throughout the years.
Right, sure.
But being able to, craft something like that, like I always said, when it's time to retire, the kids are gone, I'm going to get a wood shop, and Karen and I are going to take old furniture and refurbish them or something like that. Cool. That kind of idea is appealing to me. You can tell I'm fucking getting old.
Well, to me,
I want to sit in the garage.
The appealing thing is kind of having a finished product at the end of it, at the end of the project that you made out of nothing. I mean,
exactly.
You crafted essentially out of thin air.
Right.
I mean, not literally thin air, obviously, but you took a raw block of material and made something beautiful and useful.
Right. It's the same thing.
It's like being a sculptor.
Well, or music even. Like that really is taking it out of thin air. That is
literally out of thin air. You're literally just vibrating airwaves.
Yeah. And so that, to me, that's my creation progress. That's what I can contribute.
Definitely.
Whether it's good or not is irrelevant.
Well,
I'm still creating.
I think at the end of it, when you have that finished product, there's the satisfaction that goes along with that, knowing that it's something that would not exist without you.
Yeah, and I think it's more of a tool, to get better. Like the other day, I was listening to some songs of mine in the car, and then thinking, I should have done this to that song, and now I'm tired of fucking hearing that little flub or whatever.
That one thing that you wish you had done different.
Why didn't I do the harmony on this part? Because
I used to have a friend who was constantly working on music, and his problem was he'd never finished any of it. Right. He was never satisfied with it enough to be done with it. And he would be having several projects going on at the same time, but none of them were ever done, whether it was mastering or equalizing or removing parts or changing parts. He was so detail specific in the way and creative, I guess, in that he would be
sounds obsessive.
He would be getting new ideas about something that he had already sort of finished and integrate them and add them. And it's sort of like a mother bird finally needing to just kick the baby birds out of the nest. At a certain point, you just have to call it a day.
You do.
And let it go.
Right.
And move on to the next project. And if there are things that you aren't happy with it, the cool thing about it is you don't have to listen to it.
It's true.
If it really does just make you grind your teeth every time you hear it, then play a different song.
Right.
And hopefully the people who are hearing it won't have the same issues with it. And I definitely do that with the podcast on a weekly basis because I have to go back and review all the audio to make sure there are no glitches or anything like that. And fortunately for me, I'm on a deadline. I don't get to just sit there and listen to it for weeks at a time, cherry picking every little thing. I have to put it up at a certain point, though. I do just sort of have to pull the trigger and release it out into the wild and post it on AnvilHammerHatchet.com. On Tuesday mornings, usually I will send out an Instagram post or a tweet announcing that the new episode is up on the website. And to get those notifications, if you just go to AnvilHammerHatchet.com, up across the top of the page, there's a link to all of our social media sites, our YouTube page where you can stream all the episodes, our phone number so you can call and leave us voicemails to suggest any topics or anything you might want us to talk about. There's an email link so you can email us at AnvilHammerHatchet@gmail.com to get a hold of us. And just let us know anything that you want us to discuss or are interested in us talking about as a topic on the show. AnvilHammerHatchet.com is the best place to get those. There's usually photos from the topics that we discussed on the show, as well as pictures of us during the day of recording. If we have guests, we have photos of them or pictures of their bands, the projects that they work on. And I usually try and post links to their social media pages as well. So if you like the guests that are on the show, it's really easy for you to get a hold of them. I also have tried to sort of cultivate it in just sort of a one-stop shop to make sure that it's really easy to follow us and listen to the new episodes as easy as possible. They're on Google Music at this point. They're on iTunes. We stream on YouTube. The weekly episode, as well as the one from the week prior, are on our SoundCloud page. So it's pretty easy to get a hold of us and to find us. So I do try and stay on a schedule with that. So it keeps me from having, or at least having the ability to just sit there and meander over the same episode for weeks at a time going, oh, that there's a pop there or a click there, or that's too bassy, or it's break time.
It's break time.
It is break time. So we're going to tap out for a minute, reset, change the vibe a little bit, and we'll be back in a minute, guys. Hi, I'm Chris. You probably know me from the incredibly popular podcast, AnvilHammerHatchet. Army, Big Daddy Ross, the boss's boss, and I work tirelessly to bring you an hour and a half of entertainment that lasts a week every Tuesday. It's truly a labor of love, but there are expenses that go along with it that add up quickly. That's where you can help. With Patreon, you can help us to help you to help us make a difference for you. Patreon allows you to donate money to us for you. Imagine how great it'll feel listening every week to AnvilHammerHatchet and knowing that you helped make the difference. So go to patreon.com/AnvilHammerHatchet to donate and help us continue to make your life better. Patreon.com/AnvilHammerHatchet. Welcome back to AnvilHammerHatchet. Army is to my right in the co-pilot seat. And
what's up?
We are joined in studio by a guest today, Sean Cantor from Barbaric Thugs.
Barbaric Thugs.
Howdy.
That is the band you just heard bringing us back in from break. That is the song Making No Money from the Barbaric Thugs.
That shit is dope.
Welcome, Sean. Welcome, Sean. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So you guys have a bit of a history.
Yeah. I've known Sean for, what?
A few years.
It's been more than a few. Like 6.
Yeah, because I knew you when Vergona lived in
San Jose
and Capitola, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, for sure. So it's been 6, 7 years.
Did you guys meet socially, or was it through music?
Through friends.
Yeah, through Mikey, I think.
Yeah, through Mike, who's the bass player for Barbaric Thugs.
Oh, okay.
And the bass player for the Tavern Men.
Right, which is
band.
Your other project, sure. Everybody who listens knows Army's solo projects. We use his music. A lot of the music we use in this show is stuff that Army's recorded for us. But Army is also in a band with 3 other guys, right?
Yeah, we got Mike Vergona, bass player, Greg Gibson, drums, Chris Carboni, guitar. And then, we've played shows with Barbaric Thugs.
Down in Cayucas.
And were you in bands with Mike? Or
yeah, I've been playing music with Mike. He adopted me when I was like 16.
Oh,
that's right.
Oh, okay.
I like the taco stand, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have known each other for at least 3 or 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't let you adopt until grown men until they're known them 4 years.
Right. I think that is a rule. It's on the rule book somewhere.
Yeah, these guys. And so when I met Sean, and then Mikey and I finally started playing together, and we had all 3 talked about like we need to put something together, and at some point we still need to do that.
Yeah, I want to do a honky tonk thing. That's what I want to do.
Dude, I am fucking in on
that.
that.
That would be
good.
Cool. That would be very cool.
I am in on that, no doubt,
because all of us love it.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of weird that musicians will run in circles and all sort of hang out with each other, and even if they're all sort of in between projects and saying, yeah, we got to get together and do this, sometimes it just takes forever before you actually coalesce and just do something together.
Well, in Sean's case, you're up in Sacktown.
Yeah.
Your brother Glenn, the drummer for Barbaric Thugs, is in Tescadero.
Yeah. San Luis Obispo County.
Yeah. So
distance is kind of an issue.
It's distance, but when we all get together, it seems like no time has ever passed.
Yeah. It's one of those things, too. It's like whenever we play, like we maybe have one practice. We'll play once a year, twice a year, whatever. Hopefully more sometimes, but we'll only get maybe one practice for a half hour, and then it turns into
just
barbecue. Barbecue and drink beer.
Hanging out.
And then we'll play the show, and it's like we're it's not like we've lost a beat.
Right.
We're not very good to begin with, so it'd be harder to get worse.
I definitely disagree with that.
No, their live shows are fun. And when we played the tavern down in Cayucas.
Dude, that's such a thing. I think, like, today, especially with rock and roll, the entertainment value of the live show is so often overlooked. It's all about the music, man. And it's like, that is true to some degree, but you're there to entertain a crowd, and so your show should be fun and it should be entertaining. And I think by a lot, especially we were talking a bit about Mastodon and like sort of Mastodon puts on a great show, but a lot of those progressive rock bands that are more about the notes and the noodling and stuff, it is sort of too much all about the music for them, and they really sort of overlook the fact that is the crowd having fun?
Yeah.
Or are they just standing there staring at your fingers as you fly around the fretboard?
Yeah.
You know, because ultimately, when you go to see, I mean, if you want to hear the notes being noodled overnight, you can stay at home and do that in your bedroom.
Well, these guys do it like, to me, it's old school style. You know, you're coming in, you're fucking kicking their ass, and then you're fucking drinking beers with them.
Yeah, bringing the energy, like pumping the crowd up, getting them in sort of involved via the microphone in between songs. That's a big part of it. And I feel like in a lot of cases with rock and roll now, it's largely ignored.
Yeah. Well, I remember like Mike wouldn't want to play shows that were all ages because that means you couldn't drink on stage.
Oh, okay, right. I can see that.
So when we were in a band called Pat Riot years ago, our drummer hooked us up with a gig for like a high school party basically, but it was at the Vets Hall, so it was a bigger venue.
All the drinking takes place in the parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so he didn't tell us that we weren't allowed to drink until the day of the show because he knew me and Mike probably, no, we're not playing that.
Yeah. By the way, no booze on stage. You're going to have to play completely sober.
Yeah, that's definitely what it was like. Well, cut to 30 minutes before the show, and I'm like throwing up because I've drank too much because I wanted to be.
Because you had to get, that's what I mean. You had to get it all in the parking lot.
I gotta get there.
Especially if it's one of those sort of, because it's underage, then there's no ins and outs because they know that people are going to be going out and getting fucked up in the parking lot. So you have to get it all in before you walk through the door.
Well, it reminds me
that can get you in a wreck pretty goddamn quickly.
It did. We were drinking Jaeger and. We were drinking Jaeger and
you remember that from
the
Pat Riot days? You
remember because I remember because I'd never drank Jaeger and Mike had a big. I wasn't 21.
Oh,
so yeah, that's how long ago it was. I wasn't even 21. But I did a knee slide. I remember I did a knee slide and the whole crotch of my Levi just ripped out. So I probably could have went to jail because it was like. Probably flashing kids.
Right. Ended up on a list, having to go door to door and knock on your neighbor's door to introduce yourself.
But saying that reminds me of I heard that El Duce from the Mentors. Was like so fucked up before a show before they went on. He was like passed out on the floor behind the drum riser or whatever.
And they just slapped him awake and put him in front of the mic.
No, somebody laid put some blow in front of him, and he's like he railed it up and was like, okay, let's go.
Right. The great equalizer. Well, I've told you that about that one show that I played with this punk band when I was in high school called The Crooks, where that was definitely the concept. It was in a bar. But for whatever reason, that night they had, the two different stamps, so you couldn't drink if you were underage. So I had to like get my thing in before I even went inside. My guitarist had to come find me in the parking lot when we were out to play because I was sitting behind a car drinking with a bunch of people, and I was so fucked up that I started singing the wrong song 3 times in a row.
Oh yeah, that's good. You were on one.
Have you ever done that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I've always been pretty solid though. Like no matter how drunk I get, I can pull it off pretty well.
I've seen you fucked up, but you get up on stage and you still. I'm like, holy shit! How does he do that?
The merit of a true professional. You soldier through and you make it happen.
It's the Irish DNA. I think that helps.
Right.
Well, and a lot of times it's practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
And at a certain point you're a well-practiced drinker, so you can kind of make it happen through the fog and the haze.
So what's going on with the Barbaric Thugs right now?
We recorded. What we did is we wanted to have, because we've recorded over the years.
How long have you guys been together as that in that incarnation of the band?
Well, the original bass player was my buddy Corey Gradeville, who I'd been playing music with in punk bands since we were 12 years old, literally playing shows when we were 12 years old.
Get out.
Well, he was joining the Navy, and we said, hey, let's record a new project. So before you go, so we can have one last thing. And it turned out to be the Barbaric Thugs.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then Barbaric Thugs and...
But so you started that and then he had to go.
And then so he went, because it was just supposed to be a goofy project, but people liked it. So then who was the next bass player? We're like Spinal Tap with bass players.
It wasn't Mikey.
The drummers aren't exploding on stage. The bass players are imploding.
Right.
It might have been. I think it was Mike, because Mike still lived down there in Cayucas. And then Mike moved to Santa Cruz, and then we had my buddy Joe play bass for us.
And what about your other guitar player in Cayucas? Sabby. What about him? Where does he fit in that whole picture?
Well, because when Pat Riot was playing, Sabby was the drummer. and we played at his house. Mike lived there.
Oh, Savvy was playing drums.
Yeah. And then we started playing more Barbaric Thugs, and Savvy didn't have he was like, yeah, I want to play. We're like, yeah, we want a second guitar player.
Right, yeah, do your thing, sure.
And he didn't even know how to play guitar. Like, he had to learn. So
that's come up a few times, the sort of reverse engineering of the bass player, the guitar, where pretty much any guitarist if you throw a bass in their hand, they can make something happen, but it doesn't always necessarily work in reverse, because a lot of bass players, if you point out, you're going to need to play more than one note at a time, they're like, I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, he's like, if you put any piano music on it, doesn't matter if it's Mozart or Beethoven, he could play it.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's really good. So for him to pick up the guitar, he's like, I get to strum it with one hand and then just hold my fingers down another. I don't have to move all of my fingers at the same time. Which I think it kind of came second.
Right, it seemed actually easier.
Yeah.
Sure, that makes sense, for sure. So there's been sort of a revolving door of members, and who are you, the consistent member of Barbaric Thugs?
I sing and I play guitar and write the majority of the songs, but it's like I don't like it when people say, oh, yeah, he writes all the songs, because it's not, I might write the lyrics and the bridge and, the structure of it, but a song's not a song until you put drums to it, and each drummer's different. So,
right,
it's a
collaborative, creative influence, not the sort of Billy Corrigan, Smashing Pumpkins thing of, oh, no, I wrote the song, play this way. And I think with him, aside from the drumming, he pretty much even if he didn't play all the parts, he would sort of tell the other members of the band what they were to do during the recording.
Your drummer is
my brother.
Your brother Glenn, who I love playing with Glenn,
solid.
Man. He is just fucking so tight. And,
he's like a drum machine.
Oh, man. And punk rock, is his fucking shit. He can lay it down.
And the importance of a good drummer just cannot be expressed too greatly.
And you're a fucking good drummer.
Yeah, so me and him can kind of hey, what if you do like the thing from Rose Tattoo where you do one of those little hooks? And he'll get it.
So creatively, you sort of make suggestions and go back and forth, and it's a group effort to write the songs and get them the way you want them to sound.
Because I could write what I think is going to be a bitchin' ass song, and then you go to play it, and you're like, oh, this song sucks. Never mind.
Right. But if one guy goes, hey, what if we did this right here? Then that's the thing that brings that point together. So there's been multiple members, but all the Barbaric Thugs projects have always been sort of a creative, collaborative effort. More of a band.
Yeah.
A lot of times I wonder in some projects, why isn't it just Trent Reznor? Why isn't it
James,
just Billy Corrigan? Why is it Smashing Pumpkins? Why is it just a marketing thing? Because clearly the one guy is sort of driving the car forward. But
because Robert Trujillo and Kirk Hammett aren't typically writing songs; they're contributing to the songs. But Hetfield and Ulrich are the primary ones who are writing it.
And, apparently, I've passed my curse on to you.
I did.
There was this period where I seemed to not be able to go a week without mentioning Metallica, even though I'm not really that big of a Metallica fan. And I managed to go 3 weeks in a row, but apparently I've managed to slip the curse on.
I'm sorry about that. But speaking of...
So the Metallica curse is kind of like Stephen King's Thinner, where the only way I can get rid of it is to pass it along to you.
I'm going to have to pass it on to Ross then. But speaking of...
Thinner? Stephen King?
No.
Let's talk about Stephen King.
It had to do with the Barbaric Thugs. So you guys have an album. It hasn't been released yet, though.
No, I'm still working on the vocals.
I sidetracked that, just to get some background on the band, but I did want to get back to that you did record recently...
Yeah, I have a recording studio in my garage it's like a soundproof room inside my garage.
Isn't it so awesome that we live in a world where that's a possibility now, that you don't have to pay thousands of dollars per hour or per minute, that as a musical contribution to the world, you can just set something up in your home, do it your way without 100 different people having their fingers all over it.
Yeah, and if you want to record a solo 10,000 times, you can do that, and it's not going to cost you $10,000
because you're using tape. Although tape costs money, so every take counts to the penny. And now it's digital, so you can do it as many times as it needs to, or you can choose to do old school, one take. If it comes out, however it comes out, that's what we're putting down, but it's up to you. You have the choice. So you're able, in this modern world of recording technology, to set up a perfectly functional recording studio in your home
Mm-hmm.
and do your recordings your way.
I've been doing that since my dad bought me a 4-track reel-to-reel.
That's what I was about to.
When I was
about
a
to
kid.
ask you if you ever had a 4-track.
Oh yeah, well, like big old
But a reel-to-reel
Yeah.
4-track.
Yeah, that's different. That's
So we would go to
before my time.
we'd go to like thrift stores and buy orchestra tape and just record over it. And then he taught me how you can make, because it's a 4-track actually, but you can record 4 tracks and then you can all loop it onto 1 track.
Yeah,
And then you got 3 more tracks and you can loop
quote
it on.
unquote bounce.
Yeah.
You bounce the
So
tracks
is that
all down
2
to
inch?
one.
Was it 2 inch?
No,
tape?
it was like
quarter-inch tape. Oh, half-inch tape.
But
Okay.
man, that did require a lot of forethought and a vision to look ahead of what it was going to sound like, because once you bounce those tracks down,
It's done.
It was done.
Yeah.
And you couldn't. The only way to go back and undo that was to re-record everything.
Yeah.
So you had to be confident in the mix.
Do you still have that
when
4-track?
when you were ready to
No.
bounce it, that it was ready to go.
But the cool thing was that was probably when we recorded on that. We recorded our album, and my Uncle Nicky plays in the Defects. Did you see him?
We played with them.
Yeah. So, he is a professional.
Shit.
Does it for.
Did you just hear the plane? I don't know if the mics are picking it up, but hopefully I was sending my private jet back to the East Coast. It got picked up on the mics. I'm just hoping
Maybe it got rerouted.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not, because I know there were other people at the bunker that were scheduled to take flight. So okay, I'll check on that later. I'll check on that later.
Yeah, Sean's not familiar with the bunkers.
Did your beeper go off?
Long story. No, I just heard the plane. We heard it earlier when I was taking off. I had to take the plane back from the East Coast, but the flight was too far to take the chopper. Took the plane, had to get it back to the East Coast because I have other people that needed to take flights to Europe. But I just heard the other plane, and I'm hoping that wasn't my plane.
Well, you can always get in your submarine, too.
It sounded very, very similar. So, okay, yeah, neither here nor there. I will check on that later. But anyway, you said your uncle is also in a band as well.
Yeah.
So you have a musical family.
Yeah.
Your whole family is involved in.
He does like music for TV shows and writes scores for movies. Well, back then I didn't have any way to transfer it to tape, like to a cassette tape, or to a. I did have a way to get it on a cassette, but it was more of a pain.
Right.
So I gave him my reel-to-reel, and he actually put it on a CD.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So.
Yeah. So you've
Christmas.
got that sort of old archived material from when you were a kid.
I think I still have that somewhere. He said he still has it.
That would be something that would be awesome to release on your Bandcamp page, just as sort of like alternate takes. Or who was it? Somebody was telling me, was it you, that there's a Sgt. Pepper's anniversary release that's going to be all the alternate takes and outtakes. And
it wasn't me, but that sounds awesome.
It might have been Andrew.
Okay.
I think there was some kind of anniversary that was coming up from a Beatles record, and they're releasing all the sort of bonus material from that. And that would be cool to put on your Bandcamp page, just as something kind of unique and weird to listen to.
But like as for the Facebook,
see, that's
setting
me.
Up and
that's
everything,
why Chris is here, because I'm the same way.
I can't do it.
I can't do it, and I don't want to do it.
Well, I get sidetracked very easily. I'll be like looking at how to set up a Facebook page, and next thing you know, I'm like on Chive or something.
Right.
Well, especially with the internet. The internet is such. I mean, it's almost like it was created specifically to distract you.
Yeah.
To prevent you from getting anything functional done.
Yeah, I'll be working on a resume, and then next thing you know, I'm looking at pool floats on Amazon.
Right.
Like hot dog ones or something. And I'm like really into it. So.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I remember back in the day when YouTube, that was the big wormhole that people would end up going down, because you'd start looking at, like, say you're listening to the one band, then they recommend this band, and then you end up with an interview with that band, and they mention another band, so you go to check, and then next thing you know, it's 4 a.m, and you're like, fuck, I have to work in 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what, like, because I loved Green Day. I'm like one of the few punk rockers that still says he loves Green Day. That's what Billy Joe's guitar is. His guitar would have stickers on it, so you'd look at his guitar and be like, oh, that's a band.
He's into that.
I'm going to see what that is.
Right.
And
that's like when I would see the Minor Threat or Fugazi stickers or whatever. I'm like, oh, who's that? What's that about?
Yeah. And there's such an easy path to all that information with people who are coming up now, but we had to do work back in the day, you know, whether it was zines that locals would put out and you would read the things, and then in the interviews there would get band mentions.
Let me just interject. Speaking of, I think you guys got a big write-up in... You did?
In the New Times.
Yeah.
Not recently.
Not recently, but it was, maybe a couple years ago or whatever.
Oh, yeah, it was Mikey was still living down there.
Oh, okay.
So.
But you guys had like somebody came down from San Francisco and brought like a crew and just gave you guys like a 2-page review.
That was in the Maximum Rock and Roll one, but that was just Glenn sent in. I think I don't remember. Those were drunk times in my life.
Maximum Rock and Roll is a big. They
actually liked us. They said it's the kind of music. What did they put there? Like it was just in their. This is one of them. I don't know if there was more, but one of them said this is the kind of music you listen to after work in a bar. It's like that's a perfect.
Right.
That's exactly what you want to do.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I did want to actually kind of sort of touch base on that as far as the style of music that you guys do. It's rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's the aggressive, fun, energetic nature that I think of when I think of bands like, I'm not comparing your sound to it at all. It's very different, but like AC/DC.
Yeah.
You know, it's rock and roll that's meant to sort of bring a group together as a community so they can all have fun in an environment where everybody's sort of like-minded and in the same direction. It's a very rock and roll band.
Yeah, we really like the Ramones. I kind of like with the song structure and everything. It's more simple, but it's kind of like Ramones with a hammer.
Right, yeah, because the Ramones did have a very sort of old school 50s style of rock and roll. Granted, their topic of lyrics were like about sniffing glue. And they were definitely not traditional, but they worked with Phil Spector.
Yeah,
who had worked with all these old school rock and roll bands. Phil Spector worked with them because he saw in the Ramones the direction that traditional rock and roll was going into.
Yeah.
You roll the tape forward just a couple of years, and you've got Australia pumping out AC/DC, which is a barroom rock and roll band meant to sort of pump the crowd up, get them rowdy, and make sure that they have a good time. And then if you go even further, you've got Circus of Power, which is very much in the same vein.
Who I was a roommate with the bass player.
Mike Frappier, right?
Yep, Mark.
Oh, okay, Mark. Yeah. Mark Frappier. Mm-hmm. It's sort of the same style, and when I listen to Barbaric Thugs, that I get that same feeling from it. I get that same vibe. It feels like a very communal experience with a bunch of like-minded people that just want to rock out, to me, get fucked up, and have fun.
It's like getting punched in the face and then getting a big hug. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna fuck you up, and then, but come here, man. You're all right. You're good. Everything's good.
My problem is I can't play. Because the way I sing, it's the only way I can actually somewhat hold a note. So I have to get barrel deep.
Guttural.
And it's kind of hard. So, like, I can only last. It's a good thing punk bands only play for 20, 30 minutes. Right. Because if I had to play like how the Descendents did, they played like an hour and a half. I would die.
But with traditional sort of less melodic pop punk type bands, 30 minutes gets you 15 songs. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're that fast to the point, get in, get out, make your point and get it done.
Which I want to say, like you spoke about the Ramones being like, you love the Ramones. Everybody fucking loves the Ramones. But growing up, what bands were, quintessential,
influential
to the Barbaric Thugs sound? Like what band? And I'm going to say it, and I know I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it.
Motorhead.
Well, Motorhead, obviously. Screwdriver.
Probably a little bit of Screwdriver.
Okay.
I listen to them. Only the early stuff. Only the early stuff, though. Only the early stuff.
Hey, odd connection between previous episodes of the show and that particular band. We've talked about the documentary The Wrecking Crew, which was a movie about the songwriters that wrote all the music for those early rock and roll bands coming out of L.A., and we talked about the Monkees.
Yes.
And one of their songs is Steppin' Stone.
Yes.
Which Screwdriver did an awesome cover of. So
did they really?
Yeah.
I think probably.
For those people who don't know, Screwdriver is a very divisive, controversial band. In the 80s was when they were sort of at their peak, right? Late late
80s.
70s, early 80s. Musically, I would say they were sort of that traditional rock and roll. Lyrically, a lot of people would have considered them to be extremely, extremely offensive. But you cannot discount the talent of the musicians.
The music is good.
And like I said,
Well, like the drummer for the
it goes without saying that the
drummer for the Nips played for Screwdriver.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The Nips, I don't know.
The Nips, Nipple Erectors, Shane McGowan's.
Yeah, Shane McGowan's first band.
The Pre-Pokes.
Yeah,
Pre-Pokes.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know that either. That
he played drums for a little
Have you ever heard Nipple Erectors?
a little bit, not a whole lot.
Man,
Not a whole lot.
So good.
Bustin' Brother. That's the best
The
one.
sort of music that was associated with that oi scene that I'm most familiar with is more like Cockspur,
Yeah.
The Business, Sham 69. These are bands that
I'm going to Cox Bar on the 24th.
I'm so jealous.
I
of that.
might not be going anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because we're going to Spain, so I got to save my money for Spain. I know. And I've seen Coxbar,
but-
and they're really good.
But like Angelic Upstarts, that's another one of those old oi bands. It was just rock and roll. It was British rock and roll for working class people, which like to me, Barbaric Thugs is very much working class music for working class people who just kind of want to get off work, go to the club, tear the lid off, pound a few.
Well, if you listen to the lyrics of Sean's lyrics, it's like
just disgruntled construction worker.
That's
about it.
Well, the song that we just came in with, lyrically, it really is just about how you're working your fucking dick into the dirt and checking your bank balance at the end of the week and it's still in the neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It feels like you can't get ahead.
Yeah.
And it's a very much a blue collar world that a lot of people, especially now, can really relate to.
Yeah.
You know, and what it does is it gives you the ability to identify with somebody and know that you're not the only one who's dealing with that. And
well, it's just like what you're saying, community based.
I was about to say it removes the feeling. You know, since you're not alone in that, it removes the thought that you can't be happy in that world.
Well,
you can still go out and have fun.
Which is the whole reason punk rock exists, because during the 50s and 60s and 70s, everybody was like, "Fuck this shit. We're fucking tired of the music scene." So the punkers were like, "Let's do something different. We're all the fucking outcasts. We're going to come together and be as one." I mean, overall, that's kind of what it was. You know, we're all we're getting together. We're banding together.
Society is not going to provide us an outlet, so we will create our own.
Exactly.
That's continued, but I kind of feel like socially we're at a point where that outlet isn't necessary again. It's definitely making a comeback. Rock and roll is making a comeback, and aggressive rock and roll is making a huge impact in that rock and roll scene, much like hardcore did in the 80s.
Yeah, actually, we're playing. My buddy Joe, he was one of the bass players for the Barbaric Thugs. He's going to play this show with us because it's the last. He bought a house up in Toledo, Oregon, and we're playing with a band called Booze and Glory. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're an oi band. I guess they're pretty big. They're good. I like the sound, but
and they're from Oregon? Or?
No, they're from the UK.
Okay, all right.
And so they're doing a West Coast tour. See, there's like oi, but then there's like street punk, which is like a hybrid. That's what I think of it. I don't like to classify music. If it's good music, it's good music. If bad music, it's bad music.
Right.
But street punk is just kind of that.
All the different quote unquote genres that we sort of talk about on a weekly basis here.
See, when you say
them all down, they're all just rock.
When you
and roll.
say street punk, you know what I immediately think of? Crass.
Oh,
wow.
You know what I mean? Like
okay.
Crust punk.
But right, street punk, crust punk is its own thing.
It is its own thing.
And they need to take showers.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, take a fucking bath, you hippie.
Yeah, when you can eat your hair and you'll get like 1,000 calories from it.
When you have that many patches,
probably should wash it.
And does everybody have to have a fucking Subhumans patch? Like, come on.
Yes, because
they
the Subhumans are awesome.
Too.
I love that. You don't like them?
No, they literally stink.
Oh, okay.
They're a fucking stinky band.
That is hilarious.
Citizen Fish.
I thought you meant musically they stink. Yeah, okay, you're purely from an aromatic standpoint. Yeah. I can see that. But The Day the Country Died to me is like that's one of my favorite albums ever. I love that record.
So you're doing a show with these guys from the UK.
Yeah, down at
up in Oregon.
No, at Sweet Springs.
Oh,
down
okay.
In
wait, so where did I get the Oregon thing?
Because my buddy Joe, it's his going away party.
Oh,
so he actually talked to Numbskull. They do shows down there, and I guess they're moving up here too. They do shows up here. They're a production.
So be on the lookout for that in Northern California area. Numbskull Productions putting on shows.
Yeah, like back in the day, they used to put on shows at a place here called the Palookaville. I don't know.
I remember Palookaville.
I played
for
Palookaville.
Sure.
Yeah. So and I
saw the Creatures there.
I saw.
It's Susie and the Banshees, Susie Sue and the drummer Budgie. Their little post project after the Banshees, or sort of during the Banshees thing. I saw them at Palookaville. My friend Brian saw Dio.
Can I just tell a quick story about Palookaville?
I got one too. So
okay, so why don't you go first?
Okay, so me and my buddy Adam,
especially because when he asks if he can tell stories, my favorite thing is to tell him no.
Yeah, and I like to say shut up,
which I never do.
I know.
And our buddy Jason Ficus in Texas can attest to that. the thing that Jason loves about me the most is that I never fucking shut up.
And you tell Army to shut the fuck up.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay, so me and my buddy Adam, I was in high school, maybe 16.
So 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, like 8 months ago. No, the Dropkick Murphys played. And we didn't have tickets. And when we showed up there, they were sold out. This is before internet kind of shit, like before, so you have to call the place, and we never did that. So we showed up there, we're fucking bummed. Nobody's...
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, you couldn't find out beforehand a show was sold out until you showed up and they turned you away.
We drove from Cambria, which is where I grew up.
Which is way the fuck away from here.
Yeah, it's just like 3 hours away. And drove up without tickets, no place to sleep, wanted to go see the Dropkick Murphys. I think we had probably an 18-pack of beer, but that was about it.
Was this is when they were still sort of underground punk rock band?
This is probably maybe the Gang's All Here, like their second album, maybe their third album. They were touring off their third album. That was one of the first punk bands I listened to because my older brother had a 7-inch before the Gang's All Here came out. They bought Do or Die when it came out, which is their first album. And so they had like a bunch of EPs and shit.
Is that the one with the logo that were the
Do or Die album has a bunch of, iron workers, like old 50s, 40s, 30s.
That really kind of showed what they were all about.
Yeah,
just
so
sort of
we showed up.
Working class.
Well, we show up to the Palookaville, no tickets, so we're all fucking bummed. So I'm like,
how many of those 18-pack of beer was left when you got there?
Oh, probably none. But we're sitting out front and they're loading their gear in. This was before they had tin whistle players and fucking mandolinists. It was just a band.
Yeah,
a good
four or
punk
5-piece band, right?
Well, we couldn't get tickets, so we just asked Ken Casey, the bass player, like the founder of the band, I guess, is there any way you can
You saw him outside or something?
Yeah, they were loading their gear in. He's like, yeah, we don't have anybody on the list. We'll put you on the list if you just help us load in some gear.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I was
fucking
loading in their drums. I'm like, I fucking love this band.
You need a hand with that. You need a hand with that amp.
Yeah,
that's the way you end up.
Yeah, so we were fucking pumped too because we didn't have to buy tickets.
That's awesome.
Right. So and then we were the fucking Dropkick Murphys roadies.
Yeah,
you got to hang out.
Yeah.
That was fucking cool.
Instant roadie. New Year's Eve, I think it had to be 87, 86 going into 87. I went and saw Agnostic Front.
Oh, okay.
That's going back.
At a club called the Metroplex in Atlanta. And it was an awesome show. It was New Year's Eve. At that point, you kind of could whip your way around backstage, or not backstage, but behind the stage and sneak out to go stage dive. And I had wormed my way back there and was about to go stage dive, as you do, punk rock, whatever. And they started The Eliminator, which was my favorite song. So rather than going in stage dive, I walked straight to the mic.
Hell yeah.
And put my arm around Roger and proceeded to sing The Eliminator
with
him in front of the whole crowd.
Did you really?
Apparently the bouncers were distracted because they didn't notice me till right at towards the end of the song. And as soon as the guy came over towards me, I turned around, backed my way to the stage, and did a backward stage dive into the crowd.
You're like, I could fucking die right now.
It was so good.
That's a moment, man.
So I sort of wormed my way back to sort of around the crowd just to sort of breathe deep and revel in the fact that, holy shit, I just fucking sang my favorite song by them with this awesome band.
That's so cool.
And I bumped into Frenchie the Skin, who was sort of their roadie mascot. He played with them off and on, but wasn't really a musical contributor. He was more of just their buddy who had just fallen down the same stairs that I wormed my way up to do the stage dive. So he's limping on his right foot, could barely walk. So I grabbed him really quick to help him stand up. And I was like, what do you need, man? Where do you want to go? Where am I taking you? And he was like, just take me to the bar. This fucking hurts. I need a beer. So I hobble him back to the bar side of the Metroplex. And since this was an all ages show, but I was 16 at the time. So I was in the stage portion where they weren't serving and they were carding at the bar. But I come limping through.
You come in with Frenchie.
Who has credentials on his belt and stuff, and I'm helping him walk through. So the guy who was carding at the door he was like, oh shit, and just kind of waved us through. So I helped him to the bar, sat him down. The bartender came over and He ordered a beer and looked over at me and said, "What are you drinking?"
A lot.
Right. I'll have what you're having. And so for the rest of the night, I just sat in the bar at the Metroplex with Frenchie and got shit-faced at 16 years old and had the fucking time of my life.
Good story.
But it was that type of thing where it was a total accidental encounter that got me sort of in the way you know, if they hadn't needed help with their amps and loading in drums, then you just drove 3 hours for nothing.
Well, I think they saw it too. I told him, I was like, dude, we drove 3 hours to come see you guys. And this was before they were on MTV or whatever, before they were on VH1.
Recent enough to where they remembered when they had driven 3 hours and had to sit out in front and listen to the tinny sound coming through the windows of the band that they really wanted to see and never got in. So, and you pay it forward in those situations. You really do just kind of, come on, bro. That's my guitar case. Just grab that and follow me.
Here, hold my pick.
Yeah. Now you're my pick handler. Now you're my roadie. So that happened at Palookaville, and you said you had a story army at Palookaville.
So mine was a little bit different. It wasn't nearly as awesome as those. But we had a show there with Symptoms. I was playing with Symptoms over my guitar.
Is this when you were...
But is the place still around?
No, it closed. It finally did close. Right?
Yeah, it's closed. I don't know.
Which is a bummer. It was a cool club. It was
I saw the Voodoo Glow Skulls and All there.
All, a la Descendents. Very closely connected to the Descendents.
Yeah, the only reason why we went because I love the Descendents and I'd never seen them. I hadn't seen them until last night. 2 nights ago.
Friday night. Yeah.
Friday night. What day is it? October?
What day is it? 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So that was the closest thing that I'd ever seen. Sorry for interrupting, but that was the closest thing I'd ever seen to was.
Yeah, I had never gotten a chance to see the Descendants either, even though I've been a fan for a long time. No,
they're right here.
I invited him. Yes. I invited him.
Well, as
he was like, I need to do production stuff.
they did play a bunch of their newer shit, which whatever, you got to make money. But they played for it seemed like fucking 5 hours.
It did seem.
That's what Army was saying. He said that for a band that really cut their teeth on really short, fast songs, that their set was surprisingly long. And I know later on, as they progressed in their career and weren't playing quite as fast and were writing with a little bit more detail, their songs did get longer. They weren't all like 78 seconds that was fueled 100% by caffeine.
Yeah.
Well,
they have like one of my goals is to one day go and record. They have Bill Stevenson and Steven Egerton. They have a recording studio in Colorado called the Blasting Room.
Okay, so they moved. They're out. They're not in Southern California anymore.
No,
all right.
The fish must be good out in Colorado.
So my Palookaville story.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah,
we're coming back.
Sure.
It's not such a great story as you guys get in the hall gear for like these rock stars, but I did have a kind of a fun
I actually hauled a rock star. I didn't haul his gear. I hauled him into the bar.
You hauled a rock star.
But you fucking played there. That's even cooler.
Yeah, that's way better.
So, especially since the place isn't open now. I know. I fucking played the Palookaville. Do you remember that?
But it was the night that we played there. It was fucking pouring rain.
And this was with Symptoms of a Wet Guitar, which is the band you were in.
When we had 6-7 years ago,
right? When we had Don in
9 years ago,
that was when Don was with Fading Goats, and you guys used to play.
Don wasn't in the band at this point. We had a different drummer because we also had rotating people. But anyway, it was pouring down rain. We were loading in, just fucking soaking wet,
hoping that gear doesn't short out.
Yeah. So we get up and I don't think there was an opening act. I think it was maybe there was. Anyway, play. And
not that you showed up for that. You just kind of, a lot of times that happens when you're playing. You're not there the whole time. You show up right before your thing.
Pretty
load
much.
Up your gear. When it's your time to go on.
Well, I'm sure you did a sound check because
we did a sound
pretty
check.
Fucking big.
Yeah, we did a sound check and
and they had a sound guy. So they did they played through the house system,
right, and the sound guy. Jesus, what a fucking nightmare on that one.
Yeah, but that can make or break.
Sound guys are always fucking horrible. They think they're the shit, and you're like, dude, I need more kick.
You know what? They're either super fucking amazing or they're atrocious, but it's never in between.
How hard is it to turn the fucking monitor up? Like, just turn the monitor up.
God, they're all Napoleon Dynamites. They're like, fuck.
Anybody who's going to a show, if you ever notice one of the guys who looks like they're kind of working backstage and they're with the band, if you see them running back and forth across the crowd,
they always have ponytails.
It's because somebody who's with the band is having to run back and forth and basically do the sound check themselves because the sound guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you'll see it all the time. So whenever you see that human tennis ball going back and forth from the front to the back, that's what that guy's doing.
So anyway, going back during this, I love it. We just get fucking sidetracked so easy here.
Yeah, did you bring your Ritalin?
Yeah,
The reason that we started this show in the first place is because when we would talk about
this is what we did on our smoke breaks. We would do this.
We would,
on our smoke
we
breaks.
would go into 1,000 different directions and somehow in 10 or 15 minutes manage to wrangle it all back into one concise point. And at some point we were like, we should record that.
Yeah, let's fucking record it.
And that's where we are. And speaking of wrangling it back in Palookaville, you showed up for the sound check. You weren't paying attention to the opening band.
It was raining. It was fucking pouring outside. I think it was a Friday or a Saturday. So it was a weekend. It was a slow night. And for symptoms of a wet guitar, like, we're just local people. We didn't have a big pull.
But you still had a lot
of people.
You still had the light show. You still had the guitar rack with 10 guitars on it.
We brought the show.
The pyrotechnics and
the
strippers and the acrobats, the midgets on stage. I'm sorry, the little people on stage. You had the whole.
They don't like to be called that.
Right, I know.
They don't like to be called little people.
No, they
like
midgets.
Call me midget.
Yeah.
Oh, did it? So it swung back.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Definitely.
My bad.
The pendulum has hit the other way.
Yeah. Man, I cannot keep up with PC terminology. Man, it's so hard.
Oh, you're such a jerk.
This is fact. This is fact. But so I mean, I know Symptoms had a big focus on stage presence,
big production,
and regardless,
it's always in production.
I mean, from what I know, even if you were playing in the bar at a local restaurant, the light show showed. The 10 guitar rack showed up.
Absolutely,
you did the damn thing, no matter what. It was the venue
a big deal. So we're playing. I'm just going to cut to the chase because we're not going to get to it otherwise. We're fucking in the middle of a song. Whatever the song is, the power fucking goes out.
Because of the weather. Fuck.
Because of the storm.
Shit.
So the whole place goes black.
You live in an environment. Palookaville was in an environment that has some of the best weather on the planet. It's probably one of the most frequently clear and beautiful places not only in the country, but in the world.
Yeah, it's fucking beautiful here.
And the one night that you're playing that venue is the time that it storms so bad that it actually fucking kills the power.
It goes black. The drummer does not stop playing. We do not stop playing. How you don't hear anything because obviously there's no electricity, but the drummer's like, boom, da, boom, da.
The show must go on.
He's still playing. He plays for maybe a minute. The power comes back on. The guitars and amps come back on. We fall right back into the song.
So you
didn't miss a beat.
That is great.
It was so cool.
Great,
it was one of the fucking. Even though there was only maybe 30 or 40 people there,
that's fucking rad.
Yeah, but those 30 or 40 people fucking loved it.
Everybody went ape shit. They're like, "Holy shit! Are you kidding me?"
So when you said the whole production and everything, the 10 guitars, it fucking reminds me of we played with Code 415, which is our buddies down in Santa Barbara. We played at a place called the Velvet Jones. They're still does shows and everything. Well, Code 415, when we used to play with them, they'd come up and play in Cayucas with us. And this is in Pat Riot. They'd come and play Cayucas with us. And then we play parties down in Isla Vista, which Isla Vista, I don't know if you've ever been there. Pretty fucking awesome.
Is that between Santa Barbara?
It's the college town in Santa Barbara. It's like the most STDs per capita ever. Like in the history of ever.
That's definitely a badge of honor to wear.
Yeah. No, it's pretty badass down there. But so we used to play parties with them down there, and then so we just flip-flop, and then they started to get bigger, so they started playing this place called the Velvet Jones. This is like before Barbaric Thugs, but after Pat Riot.
Right.
Like, we just started doing Barbaric Thugs, and we would show up and be like, all right, we want to bring as little gear as possible. I'm going to bring my guitar. Mike, you bring your bass. Glenn, you bring your cymbals and your snare. Yeah. That's it. We're getting in the car.
We'll use other people's drums. We'll use other people's amps.
Yeah, we make sure, like Louis was cool with us using his drums. He didn't give a shit. And Maddie was cool as fuck with me using his amp. Well, they started to get bigger, and we played the show. It was like their CD release party. This is the Barbaric Thugs. We did the CD release party for them, and I'm fucking hammered. Like, fucking 2 sheets, and I keep saying, all right, we're Code 415. And they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
But when we were loading our gear onto the stage, like
prank color, don't call.
Dude, they were so fucking pissed. But when we're loading our gear on stage, or before the show starts, I fucking start throwing up. I'm just throwing up because I'm hammered. And then the curtains are closed. Well, I don't say anything. I tell Mike and Glenn, I'm like, dude, I fucking barfed up there. They're like, what?
I think I've heard this story.
Yeah, but so everything's cool, whatever. We go off. We start drinking a little bit more at the bar. And then Matt comes over. He's like, dude, some fucking asshole went up on stage and barfed all over.
And of course you said, what a dick.
Yeah,
I can't believe they didn't say anything.
Well, so that night I broke a string and I was a poor construction worker. Or I might have even still been in high school. One or the other, poor construction worker or in high school. Either way, I didn't have money.
Right.
Well, so when I broke a string ever, I would restring it. I'd use the same string, so I'd cut the end off, weave it back through.
Oh, is this where you sat down on the stage in the
middle of the set, break a string, and so I'd finish the song and then sit down, and I'm trying to fix it, but I'm fucking hammered. So
on stage in front of a crowd.
Yeah, and dude, it's like probably, I'm not even exaggerating, it's probably like 200 or 300 people there.
Oh my God.
Going, what the fuck is he doing?
And I'm yelling at everybody too, though. Fuck you! Well, I go to Matt. Matt's like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, let me use your guitar. He's like, fuck no.
You're like, but
I was like, all right, I need pliers. I need pliers. Who's got pliers? Because it was a restring already, so it was stuck in my Les Paul.
So you couldn't even get it out.
I couldn't get it out.
Restring it.
So Matt finally goes, how many more songs do you guys have? We have 3 songs. And Matt goes, all right, use my guitar, but don't fuck it up. So we're playing, and then next thing you know, just beers start pouring on my head, and he's like, God damn it. I should have fucking said don't fuck it up, because
of course you're gonna fuck it up now. That's because what can you do?
So not only did I say we were Code 415 100 times, I fucking ended up having to play his guitar and got beer all over it. That's so punk rock.
But and there was, afterwards the crowd was going, man, that guy from fucking Code 415 just sitting down in the middle of the stage in the middle of the show. It's really weird.
It's the memories that you take away.
Well, right? the same place.
It's the memories you don't remember.
The same place we played at, but was in Pat Riot. So I wasn't singing, so I didn't have as many responsibilities. And I was younger, so I was way smarter.
Of course, yeah. That's what happened.
Well, it was that same situation where you can't play when you're, you can't drink in the bar when you're not 21.
Right.
And they started to enforce it kind of heavily there. So I'm out back drinking by myself. We start drinking, everything's cool. And then we play, and they're like, where the fuck did Sean go? No, maybe he went back to Santa Barbara or back to Isla Vista. And this was at Velvet Jones in Santa Barbara. And they're telling me this because I don't obviously remember.
Right. Yeah, because you were out back doing your thing.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, fuck, he must have went back to Isla Vista already. I'm like, I don't know anybody. And so they're getting ready to leave. And they Mike said he looked in the back of a truck, and I'm sleeping in the back of somebody's truck.
just random truck.
Yeah.
No idea. That looks like a really good place to lay down.
Yeah,
that is very
I blacked
flat.
out. I don't remember it. And I hardly ever black out, and I do not remember that. He's like, dude, it was the fucking funniest thing. You were like a little boy sleeping like a newsie in the back of the fucking...
But that's how you become a professional. Practice.
Hey, if we don't reflect our rock and roll stories, who are we?
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's one of the gifts of being a kid, of being a teenager, is being able to do ridiculous, dumb shit like that. And you're resilient enough to actually survive it and pull it off and get better at it. And
I don't know if I did that, but
I've never been arrested.
Good for you.
You've been arrested?
I got arrested when I was 17. I went to juvenile hall.
You went to juvie?
Ooh,
yeah.
Did hard time. All right.
One night.
Thug life,
I said,
baby.
fuck
Thug,
this shit. I'm never doing that again.
Was juvie like...
Juvie sucked, dude.
Was it an alcohol thing, or was it just like a drunk in public type thing, or...
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But we thought we were being slick. We were walking home from a party. We were actually being responsible. We weren't driving. We fucking said, fuck that. They were doing drugs at the party. We're like, fuck this, we're out of here. So we walked. We left our car there. It was in Cayucas, my buddy.
And the cops gave you no credit for that responsibility.
Dude, we fucking...
What dicks?
No. So we're drinking beer, and I jump up and hit a stop sign, and next thing you know, it's just like, whoop, whoop. Fucking...
They bust the lights.
From behind us. So the cops saw us.
They were probably creeping along behind you for a while,
so
keeping an eye on you.
I was wearing a dress because it was Halloween, and there was a chick that I was trying to hook up with.
Sure, it was Halloween.
Yeah.
Anyway,
actually, it was just a Wednesday.
Right. So Sean's in a dress as usual.
It was a witch dress. It was pretty badass. It was. So I was wearing that with the leather jacket.
Please tell me you have photos of that.
No.
Please damn it.
No. He'd barf if he saw it.
Hey man, I'm always trying to cultivate material for the website.
So I'm hiding the beer bottle in my jacket. And the cop and we're cool. You know, me and my buddy Jeremy were like, "Fuck this, just be cool." We weren't really that drunk, which sucked because it would have been this whole story would have been better if we were more
and you
drunk.
hadn't really done anything that wrong. Your big crime was slapping a stop sign.
Yeah,
but they were just waiting for an excuse to pull you over. Basically.
So I had a beer bottle, a long neck, Budweiser long neck in my jacket. So we're talking to the cops. They're like, "So how much you guys been drinking?" We're like, "Oh, we haven't been drinking." They're like, "Oh yeah, what are the beer bottles hanging out of your back pockets?" And both of us had long necks in both of our back pockets. We're like, "Oh fuck!" Well, they took us back to his house.
Kind of hard to argue your way out of that one.
I haven't been drinking. Oh yeah, what are those in your back pocket?
But I'm planning on it.
So they gave you a ride?
Yeah, they arrested us. They handcuffed us.
Oh, they did.
So that's technically giving you a ride.
And then took us back. They were going to drop us off at our
destination.
They were going to drop us off at my buddy's house, and
so
they were going to be cool. But my buddy's mom answered the door, and she's fucking aggravated and hammered. Just going, "Fuck you, cops! Fuck you, pigs! What do you treat my boys? The boys like this for? They don't deserve this." And the cops look at us and they go, "Sorry, guys, you're going to jail."
Jesus Christ.
Oh, no.
Well, we were juveniles, so it's illegal for them to take you to juvie when you're drunk. If you have any alcohol in your system, have to take you to the hospital and then breathalyze the shit out of you like every hour to see.
Until you sober up and
until
you're
legally have no alcohol in your system.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Well, like I said, this was...
It does make sense, but I wasn't...
This is almost 20 years ago.
Right.
So,
and it may be different now, but...
Well, so they handcuff you to the hospital bed, and we're in Twin Cities, I think.
Well, I mean, think about the liability they would be open to if they took you to juvenile hall drunk, a minor, and something happened. If you threw up if you pulled a Hendrix.
Ass raped.
Yeah, or
Bon Scott.
Right.
Choke on your vomit.
So, I mean, for liability's sake, I guess they would have to do that.
Yeah, but it was super funny. So, on the way to there, because my buddy Jeremy, he's an asshole just like me.
Please tell me you puked in the cup.
No, he did something even better, because it was Halloween. So, we had candy. Oh. So, he's handcuffed like this, and he's a limber dude, like pro skater. And he pulls a lollipop out of his pocket, goes, "Hey, dude, undo this for me and put it in my mouth." And we're in the back of the cop car going there. We're hawking loogies on their fucking glass and everything. Just like, fuck you, dude. Where were you going here?
Dude, I have to admit, for a half a second, I wanted you to tell me that he fucking picked the handcuffs with the lollipop.
No.
That would have been fucking brilliant,
dude. That would have been super gangster.
And then he just stuck two middle fingers up against against the glass.
Well, no, because I was pissed because I was like, "Dude, officer, can I just stop so I can pee somewhere?" Because I had to pee super fucking bad. And
they love it when you piss in their seats.
Yeah, fuck you. Really. Nope. Sorry, kid. You're a shithead. So I was like, "All right, fuck you then." So my buddy Jeremy,
you're like technically my mom.
He puts this lollipop in his mouth, and so when he gets out of the cop car, he's just got the lollipop sticking out of his mouth with the biggest shit-eating grin on his face, just going, "Fuck you, cop."
And at least one of them had to be like, "How the fuck did he get the fucking lollipop?"
The fucking wrappers on the ground.
It's funny too because in cop cars now they don't have like regular seats; they have like these super hard plastic things that they can just like
hose down,
hose out, vomit, piss, blood.
How long did it take for them to fucking learn that lesson?
Well, no, so we were handcuffed to a hospital bed forever, like 5 hours, 4 hours. And then finally by the end of it, they're looking at their watch going, "Fuck this, I'm supposed to be off soon." So they put the breathalyzer in our mouth, like, "All right, blow." Oh, good. Before we even blew out, they're like, "All right,
you're fucking done. You're done."
Because I'm ready to go home. My shift ended 2 hours ago.
See, I was kind of used to fucking with cops back then. So, like, I was like, all right, this doesn't bother me much.
See,
when I went to juvie, that's where.
So why was juvie? Why was it so hard? What was up?
Well, you have to do the whole get butt naked, take a cold shower, spread your butt cheeks.
You really?
Oh, they made me. They didn't make him.
What?
Yeah, I think the guy was a pervert with me, but fucking.
With juvenile hall, you're segregated like you were in PC in prison. You're by yourself in a room. You get to come out for a very short period of time for meals.
I still remember what they fed us through the fucking door. And I remember not like going. I slept, but I was like, when I woke up, I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I heard. I won't say his last name because he's been locked up a bunch of times since then. But they called his name and they're like, "Your mom's here." It's like, where the fuck fuck is my mom?
Your mom's here.
So he got out, and I'm stuck there.
Yeah, visitation's different in juvenile hall than it is in jail or prison. It's sort of a one for one.
Yeah.
Thing,
well,
right?
I've been like in trouble a bunch, but
yeah, but if you get busted on Friday, man, guess what? Welcome to Monday. You're there all weekend. Courts don't run on the weekends, dude. So you know
I feel
timing is everything.
I feel very lucky. I've done some stupid shit like my whole life. I've done stupid shit, but
currently
I've never
still
fucking
doing stupid shit on a regular basis.
Gotten busted. I've never gotten caught. And since then, I think I learned from other people's.
Sean, you know what that means.
Learn from other people's mistakes.
Knock on fucking wood.
I was going to say, Sean, you know what that means. He's due. So when he goes down for something minor, like pretty soon.
Oh, thanks. Now I'm going to get a DUI,
dude. You're going to prison for at least 10 to 15 years.
I'm going to run over a child.
Yeah, you're accruing a debt that you're going to have to pay later.
Is over.
The podcast will never be.
Yeah, you can do it from prison.
Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah, we'll do phoners.
We'll Skype it.
We'll do phoners.
Yeah. Hey,
who was the
collect calls from
Slick Rick? We'll do Slick Rick style, and we'll just do the recording from prison. It'll be awesome.
No, so I remember we had stale corn pops for breakfast. Stale corn pops and cold scrambled eggs.
I think a lot of the juvenile hall food is like sort of leftover stuff that they get from elementary schools. I think it's like sort of third hand.
And I was gonna get murdered. I felt like by one of the correctional officers because they're like, "All right, Canner, your turn to go to the bathroom." It's like, "All right." So I washed my face and combed my hair a little bit and brushed my teeth. Well, I left my comb in the bathroom. And when I came back, they were like, "What the fuck? Like, you're trying to make not weapons for people?"
Right.
And I just got here. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, even though it
was pretty funny.
It's your first time there, and
you're scared
shitless.
My mom picked me up, and I wasn't 18, obviously, because I was in juvenile hall. My mom picked me up, and she was so angry. I was like, "Mom, there's nothing that you could do to me that'll make me."
That was worse than fucking what happened.
She's like, "I know." I was like, "But I really need a fucking cigarette right now." She's like, I'm not buying you cigarettes. You just got out of juvenile hall. I was like, "Mom." She's like, "Okay, I'll buy you one pack." But then she didn't even let me go home and shower or anything. She took me straight to school.
Oh, okay, because it was
straight to high school.
Monday morning, right?
It was. I don't know. It was like whatever Halloween was, like 20 years ago.
Well, but you said it was at a party on the weekend. That's kind of. I don't
think it was a weekend though. That's what I mean. It was like just a Halloween party. Like in high school, you don't give a shit what night it is.
True story.
But like, it's Friday. I'm going to be hungover on Monday.
But right, so you finally go in front of the judge. They OR you so that you can.
They just dismissed the whole thing.
Oh, nice.
Like they just kind of used it as a
because you didn't do a fucking thing.
Yeah, they're like,
you didn't do anything.
Why did this guy get locked up in juvenile hall and waste tax dollars?
Oh, I don't know. Minor in possession of alcohol, drunk in public, minor.
But normally that's all ticket shit.
But who doesn't do that? Everybody fucking does that.
And we've talked about that on the show before. The age limits and the rules and restrictions.
When I lived down in Texas and it was the weekend and we were out of high school, the first thing everybody does is fucking loads up all their shotguns, gets cases of beer, and gets in whoever's 4x4, and you fucking drive out in fields and shoot skunks and raccoons and throw up.
Yeah, and drink your ass off.
Badass.
You know, that's just what you do. Like, that's what everybody does. So,
like I said, that age restrictions do some or a lot of good to keep kids from drinking, but it's definitely not 100%.
That's a negative. I was hanging out on the corner, shoulder tapping for beer,
and I don't know
every week.
I didn't know anyone who wasn't.
Well, my thing was it was easier to get hard drugs than it was to get alcohol.
For sure.
So it's like,
and that, in my opinion, is a total argument against the prohibition of drugs. It was definitely easier when I was younger to get weed, LSD, coke, mushrooms, you fucking name it. Anything that wasn't regulated by the government was pretty fucking...
Anywhere they had cows, there was fucking mushrooms. So
because they grew in cows.
If you knew one dealer of anything,
and it was cheap,
then he either had the other stuff or knew somebody who did. The hardest thing to get was booze back when I was a kid, and that was the biggest pain in the ass to go and hopefully find some blue-collar construction worker who could have used the change from a 20. So, you give him $20. Hey, can you go buy me a 12-pack? He keeps the $4. You get your beer, so on and so on. But weed, it was just $20.
You get a gram, you get an eighth.
Done and done. Yeah. So, those regulations do some good, but they're definitely not 100% preventative. So, I didn't know anybody in high school who wasn't doing something.
Everybody
dirty.
got fucked up.
Yeah.
It's what you do when you get to that age,
Right.
Well, see, that was a cool thing about me that's when I started playing music with Mikey.
Right.
So they
that was a more positive direction for you to focus your attentions on.
Well,
well, in a way, but no, I know what you're saying, because a lot of times those musical projects do lead to a lot of partying. But historically speaking, from in my experiences, the people who were focused on creative projects as well weren't spending all their time getting fucked.
Well, the thing was,
and I knew a lot of people who were. Like
Mike lived in Cayucas. Mike and Savvy lived in Cayucas. We'd have band practice. And if I missed a school bus in the morning to get to high school, I would stay with them all the time because they had a place for me. They when I say they took me under the wing, they're like, all right, we need to be a positive influence on this guy's life kind of thing. They were his friend, but hey.
Also a big brother.
Do what we do. Here's how you do it.
And so they would...
And if I missed a bus, so important when you're a kid.
I would either hitchhike to high school or they would give me a ride.
Right.
You're way more punk rock than I thought you were.
Hey, Mike, dude, I need a ride. Or if Mike wasn't there, Savvy, dude, can you give me a ride? He was like, yeah, you're not graduating, dude. You have to graduate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and
so they helped me out a lot.
We all have high standards in certain regards of our life, and we have very low standards in other portions of our lives.
Your mic technique has definitely improved. The topic matter you bring to the table when we work together is amazing and awesome and entertaining. And to hear all previous examples of that, you can go to AnvilHammerHatchet.com. But first off, I'd recommend that you go to check out their info, get upcoming dates, shows that they're going to be playing, the shows that they have booked and scheduled. Facebook.com/Barbaric Thugs. That's where you're going to be able to find all the information on upcoming shows that you can see them at, because they're a band you want to see live. Their recorded music is fantastic, but like we've said many times in this show, a big part of it is about the live experience, about being with a bunch
I can attest to that.
Like-minded people who want to have a lot of fun and sort of be on the same page. So Facebook.com/Barbaric Thugs is where you can find out the tour information. If you want to listen to their music, it's pretty easy. BarbaricThugs.bandcamp.com. There are singles on that page that you can stream. You can download them. You can purchase them if you want to listen to them offline, because, when we're climbing to the top of the Himalayas to seek wisdom from the ancient masters, you do still want to be able to listen to Barbaric Thugs on your way up the climb.
And we're getting ready I just got to drop the mic on a 22-song album that we're going to put out.
22 songs.
Yeah, it's like the songs that we've kept over the entirety of the band, like stuff that we had recorded before.
So you're essentially releasing the catalog in one record.
But I hate it when bands will put out an album and 4 songs sound this way, and you could tell that they recorded it in different sessions.
Right.
This is one session. I just haven't done the mics because I'm old now and it's hard to drop it. And
22 songs, that's a lot of material. That's a lot of singing.
So it's pretty much our discography, or everything that we've done.
Now, are you going to post that on your Bandcamp?
It'll be probably on both the Bandcamp and the...
So you'll be able to look for the release date on that on the Facebook page and on the Bandcamp page. You'll be able to download it directly from the Bandcamp page and pay for it there.
Yeah, and the album's going to be called That's Final, because that's fucking it. That we're not recording those songs anymore.
I like it.
That's final. And then obviously the next step beyond that recording and that release is going to be the shows. And so that's when you'll go to the Facebook page to look for upcoming tour dates near you. Go see them, go support them, buy merch, buy the songs,
buy us beer,
buy them drinks, because they are the blue collar guys, man. They're the blue collar band.
And thank you for taking time.
Hell yeah,
to come into our little podcast.
This is fucking rad.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. I can't say thank you enough for Sean for coming in and doing the show with us. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, this has been killer.
We talked about getting arrested, talked about throwing up,
getting raped.
Yeah, getting raped, which is always a good thing.
You can never have too much rape talk.
All right, shots for the L.
So for AnvilHammerHatchet.com. Wait, that's the website. The show is AnvilHammerHatchet. Yeah, the breaks definitely carried on to the show a lot. But we'll be back next week. It's been fun. Thanks again for Sean, Army, and we'll see you fuckers next week. Have a good one. Peace.